We interrupt regular programming to bring you a special report. There is a major police presence with more than 30 first responders at the scene of Mid-Michigan Physicians Building in Lansing Township. It's happening as we speak on the 1500 block of Lake Lansing Road. Now, this is the same facility that was evacuated for a bomb threat back in June of last year.
Over 30 police officers on the scene and emergency respondents. I witnessed a gentleman that was being escorted out on a stretcher. Then I spoke to somebody that was inside the building. He told me that he was in there when suddenly a car drove through going about 80 to 90 miles per hour, crashed through everything. He said that it was a black male about 6 feet tall that entered the building. He was screaming things out. The gentleman couldn't make out what he was saying, but he told me that he ran for his life. Currently, we're still unsure. Police are saying they're still working to get more information, but as you can see, there are a ton of police and emergency respondents here. Earlier, the gentleman also told me that people inside the building were told to go on lockdown. They weren't able to exit, but this gentleman ran, and he was one of the first people to exit and let us know that information. We'll continue to give you more details as we learn them as well.
All right, Alexis, thank you. And Alexis did tell me just a couple moments ago before we came on the air that East Lansing police are on the scene. Lansing police, Lansing Township, in full gear with their rifles out. So stay with 6 News. We will continue to keep you updated with the very latest on this active situation on air and online at WLNS.com. Until then, please stay with us and tune in for 6 News at noon for more.
Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 6.
You just heard what happened in the moments after a man smashed his car into a medical facility in Lansing Township.
And you can hear the man calling on police to shoot him, but now he is in custody and 2 others are in critical condition. The latest details on this developing investigation is our top story tonight at 6. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jane Aldrich.
And I'm Sherry Jones. Teams of police with guns drawn responded to a situation at the Mid-Michigan's Physician Building this morning.
That's the same facility that went on lockdown in June of 2014 after a man claimed he had a bomb.
Today's incident started this morning in the 1500 block of Lake Lansing Road. Our Alexis Rosado was there as it was happening, and she kicks off our team coverage tonight live in the studio with the details.
Sherry, Jane, it all began right before 11 this morning when police received a call that a man drove into the Mid-Michigan Physicians Building in Lansing Township. More than 30 emergency responders got to the scene. Some had their guns drawn and they were blocking any cars coming in and out of the building. Witnesses say the driver in this black car plowed into the main entrance, reversed, and rammed into the building a total of 3 times. One witness says he saw the man get out of the car. He was screaming things he couldn't understand.
Alexis, there were employees and patients inside the building when all of this unfolded, and 6 News got reaction from those both inside and outside when it all happened. A man tells police to shoot him moments after crashing his car into the Mid-Michigan Physicians Building this morning.
This guy come out of the building. He was yelling and hollering about having to wait.
Greg Miller was in the parking lot when it all unfolded and captured the whole thing on his cell phone. You can hear police on scene telling the suspect to get on the ground.
Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 11.
It is election night across Mid-Michigan, but there's a different vote that's drawing attention to the state capitol, one that could be the deal that finally gets the money needed to fix our crumbling roads. It's our top story tonight at 11. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones. After months of failed ballot initiatives, stalled talks, and bills that died on the floor, both houses of the Michigan legislature have passed a new bill to provide the funding needed to repair Michigan's deteriorating roads. However, it was not an easy vote to get passed. Our Alexander Illich joins us now live from the state capitol tonight. Allie, what can you tell us?
The legislature approved a $1.2 billion road funding plan that includes increasing a 20% for the vehicle registration fees and also a 7.3-cent increase for the gas tax. Now, this plan would generate $600 million a year for roads and bridges. Started in 2017. We were just told that Governor Rick Snyder is holding a press conference at 11 o'clock, and he will be signing the bill. So be sure to stay with us for 6 News this morning. We will have much more on that. Reporting live from the state capitol, Alexandra Illich, 6 News.
Well, thank you, Allie. We've had our eyes on the polls all day long. We have coverage of more than a dozen races for you tonight, so let's get right to it. We're going to start with the results of the mayor's race in Jackson. Current Mayor Jason Smith is not running for re-election so that he can take a shot at a state house seat. That means one of 2 men will now take his place. Former Jackson Mayor Marty Griffin got just 8 more votes than banker Bill Jors back in the August primary, but that has changed tonight. Jors got the best of him, beating him by a margin of about 3-2. Jors is a Jackson native who went to Jackson schools. The Spring Arbor College grad has spent many years in the financial industry. He currently works for a bank in downtown Jackson. We're going to turn now to 4 seats that are up for grabs in the Lansing City Council. Our Neha Shaith is standing by right now, live in our studio with the results. Neha?
Sherry, let's start with that race for the 2 at-large seats on the Lansing City Council. There are 4 candidates vying for those 2 spots. That includes incumbent Carol Wood, former councilperson Harold Lehman, and challengers Emily Devendorf and Patricia Spitzley are also in the mix. But the only 2 could win, and they are Carol Wood and Patricia Spitzley.
All right, Neha, thank you. The race for the 3rd Ward seat on the City Council also featured an incumbent versus a challenger. Incumbent Aylin Bowles and challenger Adam Hussein made many house calls to meet with voters. Even Lansing Mayor Virg Bonero went door to door, campaigning for Bowles. Hussein's mother, Jody Washington, is also running to keep her seat on the Lansing City Council. Mayor Bonero says Hussein would have just had to follow his mother's votes if elected to the council, but that did not stop Hussein from getting enough votes to take over Aylin Bowles' seat on the 3rd Ward. It was a narrow victory, with Hussein barely clearing 51% of the vote.
And so we're going to meet with everybody we possibly can. We're going to meet with our neighborhood leaders. We're going to meet with our department heads. We're going to meet with the mayor.
Over in the city's 1st Ward, incumbent Jody Washington took on challenger Shelley Davis-Melock in today's election. Washington took an early lead in the polls and was able to maintain that lead throughout the night, defeating Melock by a margin of almost 2-1. Let's stay in votes out of Lansing right now. A citywide charter amendment was on the ballot today. The proposal would require that all city employment contracts be limited to 1 year for at-will employees. Voters passed that amendment by a wide margin tonight. Taking a look right now at East Lansing, where voters ousted their mayor tonight, there were 6 candidates vying for 3 open seats on the city council, including current mayor Nathan Triplett. However, Triplett was not one of the 3 candidates chosen by voters tonight. Mark Meadows took the top spot with 25% of the vote, followed by Shanna Draheim and Eric Altman, who both got 19%.
The public has sort of indicated exactly what they'd like to see for the future of East Lansing, which is development of the corner of Abbott and Grand River. We need to make that a priority.
We have an update for you now on 2 races happening in West Michigan that have received national attention. For months, we followed the saga of former state representatives Todd Corser and Cindy Gamrat. Our Neha Shaith joins us again live from the studio with the latest on these 2. Neha?
Sherry, they're the lawmakers who were caught in an affair with each other while in office. Corser stepped down and Gamrat was kicked out of the office, but they both decided to take another shot at getting their seats back.
Thank you, Neha. In Jackson County tonight, Leone Township residents were asked to vote on a $1.5 million property tax for public safety. Meanwhile, voters in Charlotte also chose a mayor this evening. Tim Lewis beat out 3 other candidates for the job. He beat Councilwoman Yvonne Rich by 25 votes. Both of them distancing Joseph Daly and Zachary Story. And of course, we're going to bring you all the latest local election information throughout the evening. All you have to do is log on to our website, WLNS.com, for the very latest. Click on the election results banner at the top of the page. There you'll be connected to the latest numbers in all of our local races, straight from the Michigan Secretary of State's office. Same-sex marriage is now legal in all 50 states. Reaction to the landmark Supreme Court decision is pouring in from both sides of the debate. And tonight we're covering the story from all angles with team coverage and how marriage in Michigan and across America has changed. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, we're following breaking news tonight. One of the convicted killers who escaped from a prison in New York has been shot and killed. Here it is. 3-page ruling for a case that spent years making its way to the nation's highest court. In a 5-4 decision, the justices ruled that the 14th Amendment requires all states to perform same-sex marriages and recognize ones performed in other states. Craig Boswell was outside the Supreme Court when the ruling came down. He has reaction from Washington, D.C.
Same-sex marriage is now the law of the land.
There are already hundreds of same-sex couples that are now legally married in Michigan. That's because around 300 couples legally tied the knot in March of last year, hours after a federal judge struck down the state's gay marriage ban. But just one day later, an appeals court suspended that decision and ruled the ban would continue. After that, the state decided not to honor those 300 marriages. Today's decision overrides all of the previous ones, and there are already more same-sex couples marrying today. Some of those ceremonies have been happening at the Ingham County Courthouse in Mason, and that's where our own Krista Lamandola joins us now live. Krista, you were there this morning as couples started to show up. What is the mood like at the courthouse?
Well, Sherry, couples are excited. They're in disbelief. Some were crying today. Very emotional day for some of these same-sex couples. We just talked to Ingham County Clerk Barb Byram. She says 12 couples have applied for marriage license, same-sex couples. About 8 of them got married right here on the courthouse steps. They're expecting even more to come in throughout the day. Now, Barb Byram says that, this number is relatively low compared to the surge we had of people getting married here back in March. They had 57 couples get married here, but this ruling is permanent. She says that's giving couples more time to actually plan a wedding.
Well, same-sex couples all over mid-Michigan are celebrating the ruling today, but one couple in particular might be the most joyful. April DeBoer and Jane Rouse filed one of the lawsuits that made its way all the way to the Supreme Court, and today they celebrated that ruling in Ann Arbor. She tells us that the ruling opens up dozens of new doors for same-sex couples' rights.
There's well over 100 rights associated with being married. Inheritance. If you don't write a will, your spouse is the first person to take from your estate. Adoption. Married couples can adopt, or single couples can adopt, but 2 single people cannot adopt children. So
there were lots of opponents of the case who presented their own arguments against legalizing same-sex marriage. Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette worked to appeal a judge's ruling that overturned Michigan's voter-approved ban on same-sex marriage. Schuette says he will stand with the new law, regardless of his previous stance against same-sex marriage in Michigan.
That I will honor and respect the decision by the highest court in the land, by the United States Supreme Court.
A group that supported the Attorney General's arguments against same-sex marriage issued a statement reacting to the court's ruling today. The Michigan Republicans group is frustrated with the decision, saying it is unfortunate that another activist court has overturned the will of the people of Michigan. So now you've heard from the legal experts, politicians, and same-sex couples. Now it's your turn to be heard. If you would like to weigh in, just head to our website, WLNS.com. Click the Facebook icon at the side of the page. And of course, we will be continuing our coverage of the same-sex marriage ruling all day, both on air and online.